What is up, New York? It's Corey Taylor Vega with Tailor Made Fitness, and we are talking about transitions and variations today. This is where you come to listen to rants talking about fitness related stuff from one of the trainers. If you're a veteran coming in to get another 2 cents on these things, or you're someone new who wants to find out what's the perspective on the inside. This goes regardless if you're training from home or you're training in a public setting. This helps you in either way, and it helps you really learn a little bit more about what you're looking at when you got your gym equipment in front of you. So if you're looking at the equipment you have laid out in front of you, you might see that you got things like loop bands, you got resistance bands, you got jump ropes, you got some free weights, a small child that's heavy enough for shoulder presses. Whatever you have at your disposal, you really got to look at it and see how can you use these a little more efficiently. So regardless of your goal, if you're going for weight loss, if you're going for strength, if you're going for bodybuilding, you have your set goal. And with those, you have certain routines that you have to apply to them. And the focus for variation is to learn how to use those in other manners and also learn how to change your focus when you are put on the spot. With that being said, it would apply towards in a situation where if you're in a public gym and someone is using the machine that you're using or is using the equipment that you're using, you have to know at least 5 other things that you can do for that specific target muscle. Also, it applies in a situation where you're looking at a resistance band, and usually people just use those for like one of two things, for like lat pull downs and for triceps. But if you really start thinking outside of the box with what you have there at your disposal, you really start to like push the standards or the boundaries of what is it commonly used for. The dumbbell that you have that you use for shoulders, biceps, and triceps, think outside the box. Use those for lunges, use those for goblet squats, use those for sumo squats. They can be for bridges, hamstring curls. You got options there. You just got to really start looking for the variations that they have for those. Same as with the little kids. Use them on your back for push-ups. Keep them on your back for when you're doing some light around the block cardio. Use them as bicep curls. And whichever discipline it is that you're practicing primarily, whether it's cardio, HIIT, strength, power, boxing, resistance, mix it up a little bit. Try a little bit of one, try a little bit more of the other, and then you can make it your own. Because if you want to follow one discipline, that is extremely fine. But I personally feel that, especially for the newcomers coming in, when they try to commit themselves to one style of learning, they're really limiting themselves to that other alternative for one specific target muscle or routine or heart rate that they're reaching for. So mixing it up in there is not only going to make it more appealing for you to come back, but you look forward to it and it keeps that progress consistent until you plateau, and then you got to look for another alternative that is just as much fun in a different way. Don't be afraid to make transition a priority, because whether you're in a gym where you don't have that much space or you're in a home where you don't have that much space, transition is what's going to help you save a lot of time and waiting period in between. So for example, what transition I mean with those variations that you learned with the very few select equipments that you decided to use, you don't have to be moving around back and forth. You don't have to be that person occupying 2-3 machines and you're running around in circles and expecting everyone to like respect your wishes when you're one person and you're inconveniencing everyone else. Don't be that person. The transition is going to be what helps saves you time in your routine from running back and forth, and you're not going to be as worried about what am I going to be doing next if you have that plan already drawn out. Another form of transitions that I mean would be referring to what muscles are you starting off on that specific day and what are you doing next. This seems pretty standard on my end, but I feel like that not everyone really puts much thought into this transition. But look at biceps and back. When you have those two muscles on the same day, you want to prioritize back before you do the biceps. Why is that? Because if you're looking at the anatomy of the muscle when you're going through that range of motion and you're familiar with the muscles that you have at work, the biceps do work when you're exercising the back. They don't hold a lot of the resistance, but they do have a significant role in helping getting that weight across. So if you're fatiguing your biceps early, then your back is not really going to be feeling the most of it if you attack the back afterwards. So have the priority be the larger muscle first and then the synergist muscle afterwards. That's a nice rhythm. That's a good steady pace to keep the progress going consistently and at its most effective. Same goes for doing the shoulders before the lats, and it would also apply towards the core and everything else. I spoke in my last video about why it's important to be targeting the core first before other muscles, because it limits you from doing other core related workouts that you would want to do. So take those into consideration as far as like how do you want to lay out your workout plan, because it helps out a lot of people, whether it's someone who wants to get the most in a short amount of time, or if you're in that grace period where the gym is pretty dead and then you're working out in between that time where it starts to pick up and you want to get your certain focuses out of the way. Like, learn to plan those thoughts out. Learn to have that kind of thinking in your game plan besides just a routine. And for the final tip with transitions, this is definitely an evil one, but I feel like it works super effectively. Take my word for it. Like, it really gets me to that state of mind of get me the hell out of here in the best way possible. Working out your antagonists. So by antagonist is just gym slang for opposite muscles. So you have your biceps and then you have your triceps. You have your quads and you have your hamstrings. You have your chest and then you have your back. Those are the most familiar muscle groups that have opposites. Where this benefits you is if, for example, you want to do biceps and triceps. You could start off with whichever one you want. Let's use biceps first for an example. You're training, strength training to be specific, and you're just fatiguing the hell out of your biceps. Like, you're doing close end preacher curls, wide grip preacher curls, doing negatives, whatever the case is to get those in. And then you switch those up to triceps. If you're doing cable tricep extensions and you're in that ready position where your biceps are pretty much locked up, you're going to feel them cramping up so hard and you didn't even start yet. So that is like the motivation that you have to get those reps in. And where it's going to benefit you even the most is when you're getting tired at the near end reps, when you want to give up, when you don't want to execute those reps, those biceps start cramping up and you're just like, oh, hell no. Get me the hell out of here, and you execute the rep with proper form, of course. And there you have it, guys. Practice those from home or in a public gym if they're still open. I understand in New York where we're at, it's pretty difficult with the businesses opening and closing, designated by zones, yada yada, whatever the case may be. Don't let your progress close down. Just because gyms are closing down, public gyms are closing down, doesn't mean that your progress has to. If you're motivated, then you have to have that motivation within you. It doesn't come from the outside. You have to motivate yourself more than anything, because you are your own priority. Your physical being, your mental well-being. Get that therapeutic session out of the way. And don't depend on friends to go with you to make you feel more comfortable. If it's one of those things where you're self-conscious, fine. Learn your basics, learn your fundamentals of what they can teach you, but then from that, really start to learn to take care of that on your own in the sense of getting the workout done, because at the end of the day, the gym is a place where you're there for business, you're there for gains or losses, and you want to make sure that your time is spent most efficiently over there. So that's why I decided to give in the feedback on transitions and variations. It helps out everyone get in their most out of their time. I like to go there alone and get the workout done. I'm not one to go with friends or try to make friends when I'm at the gym, because that's taking time away from my routine, takes time away from my progress. And that's just one of those things where like I found it something that I made it on my own. Like, I had routines that I had when I followed in the beginning, and they're definitely not the same routines that I follow now. So learn that it's always about you growing as an individual, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. There's going to be changes coming there on both ends from the gym. So get the most out of your time when you're in there. Stay safe, guys. Practice safe hygiene. Stay alert as to the opening and closings of locations in your area, businesses, especially gyms, if that's what you're approaching for. And don't be afraid, get in contact with me for any questions you might have. I got some links provided that only fans of mine follow.